Hello and welcome to the class where we are talking about inventory management. What is inventory? Well, in layman's language, it's just stock taking. It's the process in which an organization or a manufacturing unit keeps a tab of all the inventory or the stock that it has of its raw material, of its machines, of its parts, spare parts, etc. And keeping that tab or putting it all into a database or making it systematic and putting it into a certain classification is called inventory management. So let's take a little deeper look into inventory management. Well, the definition is here for all of you to see. Inventory management refers to the process of ordering, storing, using and selling a company's inventory. It is very, very critical to manufacturing that you need to have inventory management because shortage of raw materials obviously affects your production and can be extremely detrimental. At the same time, just as not having enough stock is detrimental, having too much stock is also not good for an organization because it increases the cost and of course carries the risk of spoilage, theft or damage, etc. when you are keeping a large quantity of your stock piled up for a long time. It can obviously lead to damage or probably pilferage. So for these reasons, inventory management for a business is very, very important because you need to know when you to restock inventory, what amounts to purchase, how much has it gone down, each item, what is the quantity that you need to purchase and or even produce, it can even be producing, and what price to pay, and as well as when you come to selling your finished products, when do you sell it and at what price do you sell it? Do you see the importance of inventory management? You are not just talking about when you need to restock your inventory, which item is finishing, which item needs to be restocked and reordered, and how much of that item needs to be reordered, right? So you need to have an idea of what is your production optimum level, how much of this stock is required and for what kind of time is it required, and also you need to think of when you have finished the manufacturing of your goods, when do you sell it at what price do you sell? For that you need to know what are the market trends, what are similar goods going for, what is the competitive price for your finished good. Now, functions of inventory: geographical specialization. Depending on the geographical location of your facility or your manufacturing unit, you need to have an inventory for the raw materials or the items in that place. Then you have the decoupling, balancing supply and demand, and of course buffering uncertainties where you have a safety stock kept for your organization. Inventory costs. When you're talking of inventory costs, the average inventory is equal to the quantity plus the safety stock divided by 2, based on the assumption that the cycle stock is on an average half the quantity, recipient quantity. If a part is manufactured in small batches, the inventory goes down. Obviously, quite understandable. Now, holding or carrying cost. Costs associated with storing unsold inventory. Major components in handling costs are, for example, you have a lot of finished goods that are in your facility. What are the costs that are involved in that? You have storage. You need to ensure that it is stored properly, handled properly, packaged and kept properly so that it does not spoil or damage. You need to have insurance just in case there's a fire or something happens. There are unexpected natural calamities. You need to have insurance for your unit. Pilferage and spoilage, obviously when you have specially edible consumable stuff that is kept for a long time, there is spoilage, obsolescence and deterioration. What is the formula for opportunity of holding cost or a carrying cost? There are 2 factors to holding and carrying cost: opportunity cost of capital and of course other charges including depreciations and taxes. So the holding cost per unit is often expressed as the cost per unit multiplied by the interest rate, which is H is for holding cost, I is the cost per unit and C is the interest rate. Ordering cost, it's also called the setup cost. So you have the holding, you have the ordering cost, which is also called the setup cost. clerical costs of preparing purchase orders. You need to buy stock. For that you need to prepare purchase orders which needs to be sent to the supplier. The cost of finding suppliers and expediting orders. Why is it important to expedite orders? Simply because it is important that your stock reaches you on time. Transportation cost of bringing it from the supplier, receiving costs, cost of electronic data interchange. Of course, they all bear a cost. So the average cost per order is probably the total budget divided by the number of orders per year. Set up a production change costs. Well, costs that are incurred in the manufacturing cycle, it obviously refers to buying the necessary materials, the equipment or the machinery set up, the required papers and documentations that are required, the government, legal documentations, etc., appropriate charging time, moving out the previous stock that is already there in the facility. Shortage or stock out costs. It occurs when the business gets out of business for some reason, and it results in lost sale, back orders, etc., and disruption of production, etc. The number of orders in a year can be found by dividing the annual demand by the volume per order, and the formula is the number of orders is equal to demand divided by volume per order. What is an economic order quantity? When do you order? How does an organization decide when to order? Well, when you have this formula, it helps an organization decide when a resupply shipment should be initiated, where R is equal to the reorder points in units, D is the average daily demand, and T is the average performance cycle length. When buffer stock is needed, then you also add to that formula the safety stock. For example, during rainy season, everybody uses umbrellas, and so the demand for umbrellas go high at that time, and they need to order extra stock, raw materials, to meet that need. So that's called the safety stock, adding the safety stock also to the economic order formula. So this is in a nutshell, these are different ways of inventory management. Thank you.